Welcome to English Speaking Corner. I am Sarah, and I am so happy you have joined us for another session of calm, effective English practice. Today, we are going to tackle a very specific problem that almost every learner faces, even at an intermediate level. It is the problem of sounding robotic. You know the feeling. You have learned all the vocabulary for your daily routine. You know how to say, I wake up, I eat breakfast, and I go to work. But when you put it all together, it sounds like a grocery list. It sounds choppy. I am joined today by Mark. Mark, do you know what I mean by the grocery list routine? I certainly do, Sarah. Hello, everyone. It is great to be here. Yes, I hear this all the time. A student will say, I wake up at 7, I brush my teeth, I shower, I eat toast, I leave the house. It is grammatically correct. There are no mistakes in those sentences, but it does not sound like a story. It sounds like a robot is reporting facts. It lacks flow. Exactly. And that flow is what we call fluency. Fluency is not just about speed. It is about connection. Today, we are not going to teach you new verbs for brushing your teeth or driving to work. You already know those. Instead, we are going to teach you the flow connectors. These are the small but powerful phrases that glue your sentences together. We will take that robotic list and turn it into a smooth, natural story that you would hear in a podcast or a movie. We have broken this lesson down into 3 parts: the morning flow, the midday transition, and the evening wind down. By the end of this episode, you will be able to describe your entire day without sounding like a list. Let's start with the morning. Mark, could you give us an example of a typical robotic morning description, just so we can hear the difference? Sure. Here is the robotic version. Listen to the rhythm, or rather the lack of rhythm. I wake up at 7. I get out of bed. I make coffee. I listen to a podcast. I take a shower. I get dressed. Okay, thank you, Mark. Listeners, did you hear that? It is very stop and go. I do this, stop. I do that, stop. Now let's fix it. The first connector we want to teach you is once I'm up. Once I'm up. This is a beautiful phrase. It replaces after I wake up or then I get out of bed. It implies that the moment you are out of bed, the next action happens immediately. It gives a sense of energy to the start of your day. Right. So instead of saying, I wake up, I make coffee, you say, once I'm up, I head straight to the kitchen. Let's practice that. I want you to listen to the phrase and then repeat it in the pause. We will keep it slow. Listen. Once I'm up. Now you say it. Once I'm up. Good. Now let's add the action. Once I'm up, I head straight to the kitchen. Your turn. Excellent. Notice how once I'm up connects the waking up to the kitchen. It is one smooth line. Now let's look at the second connector for the morning. This one is for multitasking. Often we do 2 things at the same time in the morning. The robotic way to say this is, I make coffee, I listen to the news. But we want to connect them, so we use the word while, but we are going to use it in a specific structure. While the noun is verbing. For example, while the coffee is brewing. This is so natural. While the coffee is brewing, I take a moment to breathe. Or while the water is heating up, I do a few stretches. It shows that your morning is fluid, not just a series of isolated steps. Let's shadow this. I will give you the example about coffee. Listen closely to the intonation. While the coffee is brewing, I take a moment to breathe. Repeat that. While the coffee is brewing, I take a moment to breathe. Very good. Can you feel how that sentence stretches out? It feels more relaxed. Our third morning connector is shortly after. This is a great alternative to the word then. Students use then too much. Then I shower, then I eat, then I go. It gets repetitive. Shortly after sounds more sophisticated. It implies a sequence, but a gentle one. For example, I have my breakfast, and shortly after, I get ready to leave. Let's try combining all 3 of these into a full morning flow. Mark, can you show us what our new non-robotic morning sounds like using these connectors? Absolutely. Listen to the difference. Once I'm up, I head straight to the kitchen. While the coffee is brewing, I usually do some light stretching to wake up my body. Shortly after, I sit down to plan my day.
That was beautiful. It sounds like a story, not a list. Now, listeners, it is your turn. I want you to shadow Mark. He will say it sentence by sentence. Leave a space for the listener's mark. Okay, here we go. Speak out loud. Once I'm up, I head straight to the kitchen. While the coffee is brewing, I usually do some light stretching to wake up my body. Shortly after, I sit down to plan my day. Great job! You have already transformed the first part of your day. If you are enjoying this gentle way of learning, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. It helps us create more of these calm practice sessions for you.
Now, let's move to the middle of the day, the afternoon slump. This is where the robotic list often returns. People say, I go to work. I work for 4 hours. I eat lunch. I work more. It is very dry. We want to introduce connectors that describe focus and transitions. The first phrase we love for this is leading up to. Leading up to. This is used to describe the time before a specific event, like lunch or a meeting. Instead of saying, I work until lunch, you can say, leading up to lunch, I focus on my emails. It tells the listener that you are building towards something. It connects the morning work to the break time. Let's practice the pronunciation. Note the linking sound. Leading up to. Leading up to. Your turn. Now let's put it in a sentence. Leading up to lunch, I try to clear my inbox. Repeat that. Leading up to lunch, I try to clear my inbox. Perfect. Now what happens when you need to change tasks? Maybe you are answering emails, and now you need to do a creative project. The robotic way is, I stop emails, I start the project. The fluent way uses the phrase switch gears. To switch gears means to change your mental focus. It is a very common idiom in daily life and work. You might say, after lunch, I switch gears and focus on creative work. It creates a mental image of shifting a car transmission. It implies a change in energy. Let's practice this important phrase. I switch gears. Your turn. Now the full sentence. After lunch, I switch gears and focus on my main project. Go ahead. After lunch, I switch gears and focus on my main project. Very good. Now we have one more connector for the workday. It is in the meantime. This is useful when you are waiting for something. Maybe you are waiting for a colleague to reply or waiting for a meeting to start. Instead of saying, I wait for the meeting, I clean my desk. You say, the meeting is at 2. In the meantime, I organize my files. It connects the waiting period with an action. Let's try that. In the meantime, I organize my files. Repeat after me. In the meantime, I organize my files. So let's put the midday flow together. Listen to how Mark weaves these phrases into a narrative. Leading up to lunch, I usually focus on deep work. Then I take a break. When I come back, I switch gears to handle meetings. If a meeting starts late, in the meantime, I just tidy up my desk. It sounds so professional and fluid. Let's shadow that section. We will break it down. Leading up to lunch, I usually focus on deep work. Your turn. When I come back, I switch gears to handle meetings. Your turn. If a meeting starts late, in the meantime, I just tidy up my desk. Your turn. You are doing great. We are building a full routine here. We have done the morning and the afternoon. Now we need to end the day, the evening routine. This is often where students get very repetitive with adverbs of frequency. They say, I always watch TV, or I sometimes read. Always and sometimes are good words, but if you use them 5 times in a row, it sounds mechanical. We want to give you softer, more natural ways to talk about your habits. The first one is tends to be. Tends to be. This means usually is, but it sounds much softer. Instead of my evenings are quiet, you say my evenings tend to be quiet. It sounds like an observation rather than a hard fact. It is lovely. It gives you a bit of flexibility. Let's practice. My evenings tend to be quiet. Repeat that. My evenings tend to be quiet. You can also use it with actions. I tend to read before bed instead of I usually read before bed. It adds variety to your speech. The next phrase is a longer one, but it is very common, more often than not. This is a fancy, flowing way to say mostly or usually. If you say, I cook dinner, it is simple. If you say, more often than not, I cook dinner at home, it sounds like you are weighing your habits. It has a nice rhythm. Let's try the rhythm of this one. It goes da-da-da-da-da, more often than not, more often than not. Your turn. Now the sentence. More often than not, I make something simple for dinner. Go ahead. More often than not, I make something simple for dinner. And finally,
How do we end the day? The robotic way, I go to sleep. The fluent way, I wind down. Winding down is the perfect phrasal verb for the hour before sleep. It means to slowly relax, like a clock that is losing energy. It is the process of preparing for rest. So you can say, around 10 o'clock, I start winding down. This is much better than, at 10 o'clock, I prepare for sleep. Let's practice this vital phrasal verb. I start winding down. Your turn. I start winding down by reading a book. Your turn. So let's hear the evening flow. Mark, show us how to use tends to be, more often than not, and wind down together. Here is the evening story. My evenings tend to be pretty relaxed. More often than not, I cook a simple meal at home. Then, around 10, I start winding down by turning off my phone. It sounds peaceful, doesn't it? Let's shadow Mark one last time for this section. My evenings tend to be pretty relaxed. More often than not, I cook a simple meal at home. Then, around 10, I start winding down.
Wonderful. Now, take a deep breath. We have covered a lot of ground. We have looked at 9 specific connectors. Once I'm up, while, shortly after, leading up to, switch gears, in the meantime, tends to be, more often than not, and winding down. These are the bricks and the mortar of a fluent story. Now, the ultimate test. We are going to put this all together into one long monologue. I want you to imagine this. This is you. Someone has asked, what is your daily routine? And you are going to answer with confidence. Mark is going to read the full day. First, just listen. Close your eyes if you can. Don't speak yet. Just listen to the music of the sentences. Listen to how the end of one sentence flows into the start of the next. Once I'm up, I head straight to the kitchen to start my day. While the coffee is brewing, I usually take a few minutes to stretch or just look out the window. Shortly after, I sit down to check my schedule. Leading up to lunch, I try to do my most difficult work so I can focus. After I eat, I switch gears to handle phone calls and meetings. If I have a spare moment in the meantime, I organize my workspace. My evenings tend to be quiet. More often than not, I stay in and read. Finally, around 10, I start winding down so I can get a good night's sleep. Did you hear that? No robots, no lists, just a smooth, personal description of a life. Now, we are going to do the final practice. This is the most important part of the video. You are going to speak this whole paragraph. I will break it into slightly longer chunks now because I know you can handle it. I want you to match Mark's speed. Don't rush, stay calm. Are you ready? Let's find that flow. Once I'm up, I head straight to the kitchen to start my day. While the coffee is brewing, I usually take a few minutes to stretch. Shortly after, I sit down to check my schedule. Leading up to lunch, I try to do my most difficult work so I can focus. After I eat, I switch gears to handle phone calls and meetings. If I have a spare moment in the meantime, I organize my workspace. My evenings tend to be quiet. More often than not, I stay in and read. Finally, around 10, I start winding down for the night. Excellent work. Really, take a moment to be proud of that. Speaking in paragraphs is much harder than speaking in sentences, but you just did it. You might be thinking, but Sarah, my routine is different. I don't drink coffee or I don't work in an office. That is okay. The content doesn't matter as much as the connectors. You can replace coffee with tea. You can replace meetings with homework. The structure remains the same. Once I'm up, I do your first action. While your first action is happening, I do your second action. Here is my challenge for you today. I want you to take the routine tips you might have learned from other videos, like drinking water or planning your day, and I want you to rewrite them using 3 of the flow connectors we practiced today. Choose 3. Maybe once I'm up, switch gears, and winding down. Say your own routine out loud to yourself in the mirror. See if you can catch yourself sounding robotic, and use a connector to smooth it out. If you found this lesson helpful, please give this video a like. It tells us that you enjoy this deep, focused practice. And if you haven't already, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss our next Calm English session. Thank you, Mark, for guiding us through that routine. It was my pleasure, Sarah. I hope everyone feels a little more fluent today. We will see you in the next video. Until then, keep practicing, keep speaking, and stay calm. Goodbye. Goodbye, everyone.